FIFA is a series that we know, love, hate, and appreciate. It has its highs and it has its lows. Today, I'm going to be giving you my opinion on which FIFA I think is actually the best in the modern era. And by that, I mean on the latest generations of consoles and starting from the games that had Ultimate Team going forward, because that is where FIFA really took off and went to the next level, and why it is such a massive global phenomenon that brings in billions and billions for EA every single year. So today we are going to be creating a tier list for FIFA and telling you my opinions as to why I've put certain games above others and reasons for those. If you would like to do it yourself, then I will leave a link in the description down below to this very tier list that I've created so that you can show me yours, whether you leave it in the comments or on Twitter or anything like that. I'll leave the links to all of my socials in the description as well. So if you want to go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc., that is where you can find me. If you do want to get yourself some coins on FIFA 21, however, then the link will be in the description to that as well, because IG Vault are doing a nice offer right now, and if you get them in the next week, then it will significantly help me try and pursue this YouTube thing full-time for a lot longer. So, all of that intro stuff out of the way, let's get into the best FIFAs of all time. If you're looking to pick yourself up some cheap and reliable coins for FUT 21, then make sure to click my link in the description, go to IG Vault, and make sure you use my code Birdie when you're at checkout to get yourself a discount. So, this is our tier list. We are obviously going from FIFA 09 all the way up to current FIFA 21. We've created a few different tiers based on FUT champs, of course. Top 100, which is going to be the best of the best. Maybe I'll only put one in that one, which is my version of the best FIFA that we've ever had. We've got elite tier, we've got gold, silver, bronze, and then can't even qualify for FUT champs. They're that bad. So let me know, again, your thoughts on my tier list in the comment section down below, and do tweet me, etc., your versions as well. Let's get into it. So as I said before, we are starting with the very beginning of Ultimate Team, because that is what most of my followers and viewers know me for and play FIFA for. I know that some of you will obviously play career mode and pro clubs and stuff like that, but most of this is going to be based off of Ultimate Team. So we're going to go in game order, starting from the very beginning, FIFA 09. Now this was where everything began, and it's crazy to think how different Ultimate Team is now compared to back then. I'll most likely be showing clips of all of these games and the differences and everything that you will see in each of them. FIFA 09 Ultimate Team significantly changed things up for FIFA. It added this massive new game mode. However, for me, I went bankrupt within the first day or two. Didn't know how to make any coins. Never played Ultimate Team again after that on that game. So, not the best start for me personally, but I do remember enjoying the game. I didn't think that it was a FIFA that completely and utterly stands out to me as this is one of the greatest of all time. So, we're going to put it in the middle, but because this is where Ultimate Team spawned, I'm going to put it a little bit higher up than maybe I would, because without this game, none of the rest would be what they are today. Next up, we have FIFA 10. Now, this was a basically progression of FIFA 09, where Ultimate Team started to get a few more bells and whistles added to it, like formations and everything like that, adding in chemistry so that players have to link to each other and all of this stuff. So it really did elevate it closer to what we see nowadays. Now, some things have been taken out, such as formation cards. You had to spend like 10 or 15k to get a 4-1-2-1-2. That was good times. So things are very different now, but it was, again, another massive step in pushing FIFA Ultimate Team to that next level. Now, I didn't like FIFA 10 as much as FIFA 09, and so for me, it is going to go into the silver tier, because, again, it was okay, but not quite as groundbreaking as FIFA 09, and not quite as good. Next, we move on to FIFA 11. Now, this, for me, is where my true love of Ultimate Team began. This is my obsession, FIFA, basically. When I was in school, I was trading in all my free time. I remember getting Messi and Ronaldo for the first time in Ultimate Team. They were both right wingers in La Liga. I think they were like 89 and 90 rated. Puyol, Casillas. But this was also one of the most fun years that FIFA for me will ever have. Being able to use Brasilva teams, Wallison, and people like that, skilling past everybody, scoring banging long shots. This was prime FIFA for me in terms of fun. And so FIFA 11, it goes top 100. And there is no shadow of a doubt for me that it deserves that position. This is one of my favourite FIFAs, if not my favourite FIFA of all time. Next up, we have FIFA 12. Now, to me, this, alongside FIFA 11, one of the two most fun FIFAs there's ever been. Again, I had an insane Brasilva team on this game with like Maicon Leite, Danilinho, Marcio Azevedo, Cecinio. It was so much fun to be able to use these players, but I also played a ton of normal online seasons, pro clubs and stuff like that. AC Milan, I did a Road to Division 1 with them on YouTube on FIFA 12 in normal online seasons. It was some of the most fun I've had on FIFA. This was the birth year of Silva El Shaarawy. For those of you that played the game, I don't need to say anything else. Again, I feel like it has to go up here. Those are the two most fun FIFAs that I'll play and sadly probably ever will play. Next up, we have got FIFA 13. Now, this is a game where I feel like if the meta of FIFA 13 was used nowadays, people would go mental. But back then, without FUT Champs and without Div Rivals, just like with the previous games where I've put them at the top, it was just about scoring goals and having fun, going on skill runs with a left mid Neymar that wasn't as high rated. Kelvin, still Brasilva's had a use this year. But 3-5-2 was used by basically everybody. Ramirez at defensive mid, and I'll probably get a picture. The standard back three, David Luiz, Dede the centre back, and Felipe Santana. You had the Russian league players of Wellington, Emenike, and people like that. It was a different year for FIFA, but still a lot of fun. And so you can see basically the trend here. The older FIFAs were more about enjoying it rather than about competitive nature. But let's move on to the next one. Next, we have FIFA 14. Now, this was still part of the golden age of Ultimate Team, in my opinion, and it was a lot of fun this year. We also got a big addition in the game with Legends coming. Now, this was only on the Xbox side, whereas nowadays you obviously have icons on all platforms. Previously, it was Legends only on that side of things, and so that was a massive thing, and I remember trying to get some Legends, packing a Teddy Sheringham, and he went for hardly anything. It was really, really good. And again, it was still about fun because the competitive, like, big modes like that was still not in the game at this point. And so it was all about getting these fun players like Yaya Toure, Di Natale, Aguero, and just having a blast with them. So again, FIFA 14 was a big game in terms of adding the Legends. That's monumental to the history of Ultimate Team. And also, it was a lot of fun. So again, I'm going Elite. Next up, we've got FIFA 15. Now, they didn't add an absolute ton of great features, but they were some milestones and pillars that we now still see in Ultimate Team, such as friendly seasons. We got the introduction of concept squads. The introduction of lone players as well is a big thing now in Ultimate Team. So it wasn't quite to the level of the past few FIFAs, and I think this was the end of the golden age of Ultimate Team, but it was still a decent game. We got more Legends added to the game as well, so it was okay, just not absolutely fantastic. And so I'm going to put FIFA 15 in the gold tier today. Now we get to the bad point for FIFA. This is FIFA 16, and this is where it started to go downhill for me. And it's a real shame because I was loving FIFA up until this point. It also added one of my favourite game modes that has ever been in any FIFA, and that is Draft. I still love it till this day. I actually got to play the Draft early. I played it in like February when they were playtesting down at Guildford at EA, and I couldn't tell anyone that this sick new game mode was being introduced at the time. And so it was fantastic. Leicester also won the league during that season, so we had Team of the Season cards, a ton of hero cards, a load of special cards. I packed my only ever Team of the Year during the actual time that the promo was on during FIFA 16, yet I hated it. You know, one of those games on FIFA where nothing goes for you, your passes are awful, the ball always bounces back to your opponent, you score, you can see terrible goals. It felt like that every single game. I stopped playing it. I hated it that much. Even though I was doing it on the side, like YouTube stuff, whilst I was at uni, I stopped playing the game. And it was the start of my hatred for FIFA, really, was FIFA 16. I don't know what they did, but I despised it. And so, I think it says a lot about the others. This is only going in to bronze. However, before we get into the modern FIFAs and the mess that they are, FIFA 17 intervenes. And I'm going to make this short and sweet. the best FIFA there's ever been. I don't think that it's the most fun compared to like 11, 12, etc. But it is the best FIFA we've had. We had SBCs introduced into the game, which was monumental for how everything works nowadays. And it was so, so good. FUT Champs was introduced, which was a massive thing that made you actually get rewarded for playing the game and being good at the game. Like, I grinded that game and got top 100. It was absolutely fantastic. And that was when FUT Champs was 40 games in 2 days. Not 30 in 3. So that's how good the game was. There was no, like, server input delay or anything like that. The gameplay is the best gameplay we've ever had on FIFA, in my opinion. The most skill-based, the most rewarding, etc, etc. So to me, it is simple. FIFA 17 is the best FIFA that there has been. It goes into top 100, even if it isn't as fun as the others. And now, the decline. Since FIFA 17... nothing has matched it. It feels like FIFA is getting worse every year. There are more problems every year. And so it's kind of sad. So I'm not actually going to separate these because FIFA 18 was better than 19, which was better than 20. It's very, very iffy as to whether 20 is better than 21 or not. They're both awful. So, FIFA 18 was basically FIFA 17.5. They didn't really add anything at all, and the gameplay was a bit worse, because they tried to nerf a little bit some of the things that were in FIFA 17, but they went too far, and it just didn't do that well. So, for 18, I think I'm going to put this in silver, because I don't think it deserves to go lower than that, because it was still a decent game, but it just didn't really have any additions to it. Now, FIFA 19... was abysmal. Up until this point, FIFA 16 was by far my most hated FIFA, and then 19 came along. I didn't think anything could overtake 16 for the hatred that I had towards that game. FIFA 19, for those of you that didn't really play it, had a lot of problems. Now, most of these were gameplay problems, which is why it's slightly better than the other two FIFAs, because El Tornado crossing, green-timed finesse shots, headers at the back post. The gameplay was the same all the time, and people starting to use tactics and instructions and everything like that, like park the bus, etc. It was becoming competitive. Really competitive, and everyone was playing in the same way just to try and win, 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 win. The movement of FIFA had gone from having fun to now having to win. And so for that reason, I'm putting FIFA 19 in bronze tier. I do think FIFA 16 is a little bit better than it, but I cannot put FIFA 19 on this bottom level. And here is why. FIFA 20 and FIFA 21 are probably the two worst games that I've ever played in terms of enjoyment, reward, satisfaction, and just general gameplay feel. And the main reason why is because of button delay and input lag. In FIFA nowadays, every single game that I go into will have some kind of button delay. Now, in 2021, it's a disgrace. You play basically any other game in the world, and it's fine. You go into a lobby on COD with 150 people in it, zero lag, or delay, or anything. Yet a one-on-one connection on FIFA? No. Now, FIFA 20 was very, very negative in the way that it was played, especially compared to FIFA 19. It was not as massive goal score lines and everything like that. The delay was horrible, the gameplay was based around a more negative nature, and it wasn't as fun to play. And so FIFA 20 has to go bottom tier. And then we move on to FIFA 21, which is obviously the current iteration of the game, which has been out for about 4 or 5 months at this stage when I'm recording this. It's very, very hard for me to say that this game is better than FIFA 20, because I really don't know if it is. The gameplay is the most negative that it has ever been. The game is more about competitive nature than fun than ever before. Every single game mode in Ultimate Team is win, 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 win. There's none where you go in and chill and have fun anymore. And so it feels like you're forced to play in this aggressive, just competitive nature, and it means that everyone is playing with the same tactics, the same play style. It's boring possession-based football, and the AI involvement in FIFA over the years just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So nowadays, Defending isn't as manual, which means that, again, for example, having fun with skill moves is not as viable because the computer's doing most of defending and it doesn't work as well on them. So a lot of people are playing in exactly the same playstyle. You're going to FUT Champs nowadays and you will play basically the same game 30 matches in a row. And so FIFA's gotten to a point where it's very, very monotonous and repetitive in order to play. FUT Champs, the biggest game mode in the game, doesn't feel rewarding because it's based on Team of the Week, which is one of the most outdated things in FIFA that's been there since the beginning. And so there are mainly many flaws with FIFA 21 that we thought may get fixed with the big jump up to next-gen consoles in the Series X and the PS5. But every single one of the problems that was on the previous gen of consoles is still on the latest ones. So as it stands, FIFA 21 to me is joint worst FIFA of all time with FIFA 20. Now, I don't know if by the end of this game cycle, I would put 21 below 20 or above. We'll have to wait and see. But at this moment in time, this is my tier list. FIFA 11 and 12, the two most fun FIFAs I think there will ever be. FIFA 17, the best FIFA there will probably ever be, especially because of how groundbreaking it was. FIFA 13 and 14 were a hell of a lot of fun. 14 had a few hitches when it jumped from 360 to Xbox One, or PS3 to PS4, and so that's why it's not a little bit higher. FIFA 09, again, good and groundbreaking. FIFA 15, good but not exceptional. FIFA 10, I wasn't a big fan. FIFA 18 was basically just a bit of a passenger year for Ultimate Team. And then FIFA 16 and 19 were dreadful games, but FIFA 20 and 21, sadly, are the worst that we've had. So FIFA 17 is the only modern FIFA that really gets very high, unfortunately. And here's hoping that the next time I do one of these tier lists, FIFA 22 or 23 are at the top of the list. Let me know your thoughts down below, though, on whether you agree with what I have put in here. Would you change anything? If so, leave it in the comments, tweet it to me, etc, etc. If you did enjoy the video, thumb it up, subscribe if you're new. If you want to see more of these in the future, then let me know what you'd like to see me do tier lists on. But for now, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.